Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you Sunday, March the 7th, the year's 2021. Let's talk trading. It's time for the weekly opening gap. Just a reminder, these videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Now let's just go right through the list. Risk management. Never lose any more on any one particular trade than you are willing to lose. Have your position size and your stop loss placed and sized accordingly. Brain management, no fears, no regret, so that way you won't have any pain, because pain comes from your reaction to the market, not the market itself. Money management, remember the market gives you an opportunity, you have to take it. So make sure when you're in the when you see profit, make sure you take it when you can. Okay, for the week so far, you can see we're 13 pips above the open. We had gapped down, but we filled that gap. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that haven't filled the gap. So maybe sometime this week they'll fill the gap. We're putting in that opening range for the week. You can see the opening range for the month here. We're 90 pips below that range. Let's see what happens. And for the year, we're 173 pips above the open. For the month, we're 112 pips below the monthly open. And for the week, right now, we're 13 pips above the open. Inside bar happened 5 days ago. We're well below it. And it looks like there's some inside bar action on the daily and the weekly, and just a couple on the monthly. Only one pair over 100 pip range right now. It's still, 6 hours into the trading day. It's Sunday here in the USA, of course. Other parts of the world, it's already Monday. Let's see, well, it looks like we've already taken out the pivot, which we gapped down. Pivot was above the open, so there was a trigger right here. And if you took that trigger, that was good for looks like about 40 pips. That would have been a nice trade. Anybody picked it up, let me know. You can see 1 day ago we missed that pivot. And the rat zone, right now the range is large enough, so it looks like it's time for the green rats to possibly feast. And as you can see here, the red rats have already feasted. Weekly pivot 1.3880. We've already taken out the monthly pivot. And that happened last week. Once again, looking at the daily pivots, you can see we got a bunch of missed pivots so far for this year, and we had a few last year. When we look at the weekly, you can see we missed last week's pivot and so far this week's. But you'd have to go back 17. Looks like about 17 weeks to see the last missed pivot here, which was November the 8th of 2020. And we can take a look at the monthly. You can see you had to go way back to 2014 for a monthly missed pivot. Wick zone, we started in it, we escaped out of it, now we're back in it. And it's a pretty big zone here, this lower daily candle. You can see it right here. That lower wick from the previous day. Big zone. On the monthly, looking at the ranges here. Monthly range, so far 238, 1 percentile. Last month was huge. The month before was only at the 9 percentile. So we'll see what this month has to offer. So far, it's looking on the negative side. Daily so far today, 78 percentile. Looks like it might want to expand that range. It looks like, if anything, it might want to expand it to the downside. We'll just have to wait and see. And the simple trading chart, the Wall Mall chart. I was doing some more thinking about, trading over the weekend. And, like you said, this order block thing is it's catching a lot of traders' attention. But I realized something. When you have an order block, chances are you're trading off of a holo, highest open or lowest open. It's kind of funny how these things work out. And as I mentioned before, the whole thing with the order blocks is it's a great story. It catches traders, attention, and it draws them in, as opposed to saying like, well, take the trade at the lowest H1 open of the day, or the highest H1 open, or the highest um let's see, at the highest low you might want to short, and at the lowest high you might want to long. Those things, there's no real story there. It's dry statistics. But hey, you know what? This formation shows that the market makers are the big institutions. Only they can move price that way. Blah blah blah. It's a great story. It really is. You know, but the thing is, unless you've got the data that shows you that it's true, I mean, and I haven't seen any of that data. I mean, I see how people can trade order blocks and be successful, but I don't know if it's for the reason their success is for the reason stated. I mean, for example, you know, is this an order block here? Was this an order block? I mean, would somebody say that's an order block? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. What happened? Price came down, returned to that area today, and then shot back up. And look, here we are again, right back in that area. So I'm not 100% convinced on the order block, I guess, story. I'm not, I'm taking it with a grain of salt, because like I said, it works, but I don't think it works because of what they say. I think it's more of a statistical thing. You see, hey, you get down, you have like, here's a holo. That's the H1 lowest open here from the previous day, and what price came down to it, it popped out. Or like the wick zone. I can run stats on that, but these order blocks, they're still, and there's the definition still isn't, to me. I still haven't seen a really precise definition. I've seen some close ones, but there's always subject to the person evaluating it, as opposed to everybody's going to say, if this was the lowest H1 open, or like so far, this is the lowest H1 open. Here's the highest H1 open. I mean, there's that's just empirical evidence. It's a totally objective. But I think there might be, there's definitely something you can use there. And it's up to you to decide. I mean, it's just like some of the traders are throwing in divergence and some squiggly line stuff. And, you know, you just have to find out what works for you. Take good notes as you're trading. Make sure you're following a plan. Because I saw something, and they were saying, you really don't want to mix up methods. You want to take one method and just trade that method and stick with it, and then get some solid statistics. Because what'll happen is, if you're trading multiple methods, then you might forget why you're in that one trade, and then something else comes along and maybe you take that and then some other one, and you're basically juggling trades. You got a mess on your hands, and that's just it. you know and not to mention the stress that it causes. I saw a pretty cool quote. It was something along the line of, when you're under stress, it means you don't have any options, or you think you don't have any options. That's what causes stress. Because if you got options, then why are you stressing? Unless you're just stressing over making decisions. But I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm gonna be pondering that for a while. Oh, let me think. There was somebody had a question about something. I'm going to ask you traders again. If you're asking me about an indicator, especially one I wrote, or any indicator, you have to send me a chart so I can see what you see. You have to give me the exact indicator name, because there might be, more than one indicator that has the names could be close and I'm not sure what you're talking about. Um, so make sure you call things by their names and show me charts, because somebody says, well, this isn't working or this is repainting, and I've been hearing that from a couple of traders, this whole repaint thing, and it's just like, you know it's one of those things that's almost like fingers to the chalkboard, because like the three level ZZ, they'll say, oh, it's repainting, because it was a one ball here and then the one ball moved and it's not there anymore, it's repainting. I keep saying, look, it's updating dynamically. Yeah, there's some indicators, like for example, my rat zone indicator. Oh, where is it? Somebody could say this indicator repaints. Now, the thing is, if you leave this on your chart, and as the highs get higher and the lows get lower, you'll see the dots move down. But if you click off that chart and come back to it, refresh it, then it's just going to draw the line wherever that lowest low was. Why? Because that's the way it was coded. It was coded to be, to be used dynamically, not to go back, and replot it, because and part of the reason is just the way MT4 works. As a coder, everything goes backwards as opposed to picking a starting point and go forward. So you can do that, but it's, usually MT4, everything's running backwards. And that was one of the things that really bugged me at first. But then you just, you learn it, you get used to it. But yeah, so in fact, I think there's a rat dots indicator that I wrote that does go forward. So it will put the dots where they were at that point in time. So for example, you'll see a red dot here, a red dot here, a red dot here, red dot, red. Every time it made a new high, you'd see a red dot. It's kind of like my dynamic support resistance indicator that does not repaint. Once it puts in those dots stay where they belong. I'm trying to remember, was there any other? Oh, I think somebody wanted me to code something. Right now, my plate's pretty full. Yeah, feel free. You can send me ideas, but they're going to be, stuck in the hopper. I had a really busy week last week, and this week might die down just a little bit. I don't know, but hope spring's gonna be soon, and I'm gonna have some things other than trading I need to take care of. So that doesn't mean that I'm gonna forget about you guys, but it's just that I might not be cranking out indicators, as fast, or fixing indicators, or helping you guys out with your coding stuff. So just be patient. That's all I can say. Um, and as you can see here, a few minutes ago I was talking about time for the green rats to feast. They're already feasting here. So, fellow traders, I hope you had a fun and safe weekend. And just remember, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So this week, drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.